Okay, so I want to just quickly show how I support continuous blending virtually. And I've done it pretty much the same way in person, but so showing it virtually for now. And I use my own Google Sheets blending app, but you can use the same thing whether you're doing someone else's blending board. The important part is the process. Show you my own blending board. So this is just a Google Sheet that is randomized. And the way I have it set up is I just have the consonants I want to use here, vowels and consonants, and then I ask it to randomize, and I made a macro that does it for me. So I have as separate sheets in the Google Sheet the various ways I might practice blending. CVCs, extra confusing letters, B's and P's and D's and Q's, and CVCCs, and etc. So if I have a student and I'm trying to do the CVC and they go r, a, d, rod, and qu, e, b, queb, I'm taxing their working memory too much, right? They can't do that word for word going through a sentence or a list even, and be able to attribute meaning to each word to find out what the meaning of the sentence was. Because, this is now 3 pieces of information. They say queb, that's 4 pieces of information. And, if it were a word like at, cat, and, d, dog, they don't have the working memory to get through all that to get comprehension out of the sentence. So they need to unitize. So continuous blending helps them to unitize it. So this is cat and the dog went down the street, whatever. And so the words become unitized and it's 1 piece of information instead of like 4 pieces of information. So that continuous blending helps support the working memory. So if my student is doing qu, b, and doing it sound by sound, then I need to teach them, okay, this one's not set up for my very beginning students. I apologize right now. I make a copy of this, I change it for my very beginning students, so I just have continuant sounds in the beginning. I don't have any soft C's and G's, or K's, So I change it, I change the letters that I have input for my initial sounds, consonants here, so that I can pick what I want to start with. But for my very beginning ones where I'm just teaching them to blend continuously, I make this, and on this one, I have it set up so that I hide one of the columns. And I say, okay, that column's there. You just can't see it. I'm not going to show it to you until you put these sounds together. And when I start, I'll say, okay, I know you see the mm, I know you see the ah, but don't say anything. Don't say anything until you put it together and you say ma. And then when you say ma, we're going to hold it, open it up, and look at the next letter. And then we just drop it on. So we say mas, and we just drop that other sound on. And so, of course, I do, we do, you do. And so I'll demonstrate again. I'll say, I see the v, see the eh. Don't say anything. I'm going to think it and wait till I can let it come out of my mouth together. Vef. I just drop on that extra sound. So I do, and then we do it together. And initially, to get them out of the habit, I might tell them, okay, you see the r, you see the eh, don't say it. Don't say it till you put it together. I don't want them to work too hard to get the sounds. And so when they say re, and then I say, okay, ret, and I might do that for a bit where I'll say, okay, you see the mm, and you see the mm, but don't say it until you can get it together. Ready? What are we going to say when we say it together? Ma, b. Just drop on that last sound. And I've seen kids catch on very quickly. Some of them have taken like 3 sessions, particularly the ones that with really, really poor phonemic awareness skills. They have a harder time, but as we're building that skill and building the skill of blending at the same time, it all comes together. So then after a while, I don't have to give them the sound. If I know that they're pretty secure on the sounds, I'll just say, okay, you see the first sound? Don't say it. Do you see the second sound? Ready? Say it together. Ready? It is lis. So I stop giving them the sounds. I just ask them to think it. And then after a while, then I'll say, okay, ready? Think it, put it together. And when they say la, open it up. Ready? Think it, put it together. Viv. When I see them doing that automatically, then I can go back to the CVCs and maybe start with continuant sounds there to make it a little smoother. And then very quickly, once they can get the habit of putting the first 2 sounds together, I don't have to stick to the continuant sounds. I can put in all the stop sounds at the beginning too, because they're not thinking t, they're going to think ta, and they've already blended it in their mind and let it come out together. So we give them that ability to put the sounds together, then it really doesn't matter whether they're stops or continuants, and they can get it. But for until I've taught it, I wouldn't put the C and the G in there in the beginning. I would put this out. So that's how I do it on my board. But if you're using another board, what I do, which is easy on Zoom, is I use my annotate. And in the annotate under the draw function, there is a solid rectangle. And I come in and I put in a solid rectangle. And then I use my select tool to, oops, not select, come on. There we go, select tool, and then I can move it out of the way. Oh, hello, I got that one. Let me get rid of this one. Excellent. That, erase it. Go. There we go. There was the eraser. So using the select tool, I can move this in and out, but then I have to go to mouse to change it. So I obviously don't need that on this one because I've got it set up. But for instance, if I'm going to one of these other ones, so particularly this, and now this one doesn't work because for this student, I've got my NGs and I have my digraphs as well. But for another student where I've copied this for that student and I only have final blends, I can, so without the digraphs, I use my rectangle and I cover it and then I open it. So it doesn't work on this one, but let me show you on. So for this one, if I just have the blends, so if my student's having difficulty, I'll do, okay, remember putting it together, waft, and help them to just add on using the rectangle in Zoom's draw feature, their annotate, draw, solid rectangle. When I'm working in Meet, it's a little more difficult. What I have to do, let me clear this out of the way. What I have to do in Meet is I take a separate, make a new tab, and I separate it into its own window, resize it down so it's teeny, and I haven't found any other way to do this when I'm using Meet with my students. Oops, where to go? I take this window, make it, oh, I can't grab it right now. and I make it small. There's my arrow. And I make it small. And it's not pretty, but I use the window to cover my sounds. Okay, says because Google Meet doesn't have something where I can easily take a shape and cover and uncover. If I'm using a separate tab to do blending. Now, if you put all of your words up, like in a slide deck, then you can use a rectangle shape and move the shape in the slides. But it doesn't work on this, so I would use my window and cover it for those kids. But what I have found from experience is that if I can get a student to blend continuously CVC, going from CVC to CVCCs, I have very few that have difficulty. Maybe the older students who have just so entrenched in, it's a sight word, they're going to say the word that it most closely resembles. And so it's like, okay, remember, we're still putting the sounds together in orders. And so I might have to do this just a few times, but not much. And then they catch on very quickly. Anyway, get back to here. So for continuous blending, so I've had students go from not reading at all to being able to blend together CVCs to CVCCs and CCVCs within 2 weeks of just doing the drill of encouraging that continuous blending. And then if they are reading, CVCs and CVCCs and CCVCs easily, then where it comes out just very smoothly, then of course it's going to be easier to get meaning out of a sentence because you've not taxed their working memory so much trying to remember each of the sounds along the way. Anyway, hope that helps.